Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you another video. All right, so I guess today is extension day. What made the eligibility day for rookies to be signed, because all of those are starting to flood in at once. Rookie contracts extensions. Alperen Sengun got 5 years, 185, and I believe 3 years, 106 for Jalen Green. I think that's how that went. 35 a year, pretty much for both of them. Look, man, I think the world of both of these young players, to be honest with you. I think they're both going to be stars in this league. So, judging by that, I guess those are contracts that you would consider fair based on what other people are getting. I figure Suggs just got, 5-year deal at like, what, 130 something or something like that. I forgot what I said. But point is, you're seeing role players getting big deals. And I think, as I said in my last video, guys, GMs and owners are just assuming the cap is going to, make it so that these contracts look better in the future, so they don't feel too bad about signing these guys to these contracts now. A bit presumptuous. And I just, maybe it's the right move. Maybe it's just going to be this way. Like inevitably, the NBA is just going to get an influx of cap space. Or flexibility, or whatever the word would be, that inflates the cap in such a way that makes it so that you can do this and make sense of it. But if I'm being honest with you, I would not feel comfortable with that. If I were an NBA owner, I wouldn't. But, it just seems like they're moving in the direction where this is what it's going to be. We expect Wemby to get like a $400 million contract. Luka going to get one. So obviously other guys are supposed to get more money too, and that's just it. And this is what we should just start getting used to. But at some point, I do believe at some point the NBA is going to overplay its hand when it comes to what their expectations are versus what the reality is going to be, and they're going to be stuck with some bad contracts. I've seen it before. It ain't the first time that would have happened. Someday it's going to happen again. And this might be that, maybe not. But for me, I just don't know, man. Alperen coming off a knee injury, committing to him 5 years, 185, coming off a knee injury, I don't know if I feel all that confident giving him that right now. I think his talent level will make it so that you probably have to pay him more later. I don't doubt that he's probably a good investment deep down. He probably is. But they haven't proven they can win. And he's been pretty much one of the best young players they've had in the process of them not being any good. So what does that mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? And when you consider like I said, the expectations of the cap inflating in such a way to make that a good contract, it's probably a good one. It's just hard to wrap my mind around it in 2024, to be honest with you. But all things considered, if their expectations are what it's supposed to be, I think it can actually be a good contract. Now, Josh Green, or Jalen Green, rather. Jalen Green is going to be a player that you expect to turn into one of the best shooting guards, period. Athleticism out of this world. Streaky out of this world. He's wiry as hell. One of the most athletic players the game has ever seen. He really is. Truly. Just like 3 or 4 other players that the Rockets have currently. Athletic beyond measure. Has he become a player that I want to pay $35 million a year for? No. I think you pay a lot for him. Not that much. That's them saying that Alpe and Green are on the same level. They didn't give him as many years, so maybe you say no. Maybe that's the separation. But per year, they think they're the same right now. Will be over the next 3 years. I don't doubt Green is going to be a hell of a player. I don't doubt that his development has been difficult for the Rockets to watch. That's 2 things I don't doubt. He has not been the most easy player to watch play basketball for them. He takes a lot of his own shots, not really looking to create for too many others too often. Sometimes he goes on these streaks where he just can't score a bucket for like a week. And then other times he'll go on a stretch where 2-3 weeks he scores nothing but 30 points apiece and looks like an all-star. There's no real consistency there. And because I haven't seen that consistency yet, I don't believe that he should be given a consistent player's wage as of yet. He would have to show me that he can do what he hasn't been able to do consistently before I'm ready to pay him that. 35 mil a year is a heck of a commitment. 3 years from now, will you be able to re-sign him if he plays up the value? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if he plays up the value past that, you're going to have to give him even more to keep him. Probably more than what he would be worth then. So, I don't know, man. I don't. Again, it's the same thing I said about the last team. You draft a guy, you go through his development, he's your guy, you want to keep him, you believe in your guy. That type of mentality tends to drive organizations. Even my own organization, we're great at that. It's our guy, we're going to pay our guy. So, hey, whatever. If that's what your intention is, cool. We drafted him second overall. He hasn't necessarily disappointed in the grand scheme of things. Fine. But the only problem that they're running into is they got a lot of people play his position, man. You just drafted Reed Shepard, who could potentially project to be just as good as him in a different way, but could be just as good as him. You got Cam Whitmore, who probably projects to be a small forward, but can play the two a lot. You got Amen Thompson, who probably projects to be a forward, but was drafted to be a point guard, who's probably going to play in some two as well at times. You got Dylan Brooks, who you paid, who I still think can be a 3 most nights, but he's probably a 2 as well. And you got other pieces too that I'm not even thinking about, like Jashawn Tate, who plays the 3, but probably get away with playing a 2 as well. So it becomes a situation where the 3-year commitment is probably best because it gives you an opportunity to move on from somebody or him, depending on whoever rises to the top of that shooting guard position, particularly between him and Reed Shepard and Amen Thompson. If for some reason you want to slot any of those guys at the 2, you don't have a 5-year deal in the way of you being able to shave off Green if you decide he's not the guy. So I think that's why the logic is there for them to give him a 3-year deal versus Alpi for 5. I think that's one of the things that they're thinking about. But I don't feel all that confident in him getting $35 million a year. I don't love that. I don't love that because I think there's still room for him to develop. And some guys, you pay them too soon and they stop doing the work. I don't know about that with him. The worst example is obviously Jordan Poole. He's the worst example anybody's ever seen of that. As soon as they paid the boy, he just stopped playing ball. It's like money was his Achilles heel. As long as he wasn't paid, he was gonna play well. As soon as he got paid, it was over. He never, like, that's what it seemed like to me with Jordan Poole. You know, Chandler Parsons type stuff. Like, as soon as you pay him, it's like the worst thing you ever did for their career. So, yeah, man, I don't doubt at all that both of these are extremely talented all-star level prospects, players going forward. But if you want me to commit to them at that price, that's a little more steep than what I would want to do if I were ownership. I don't think so, man. Especially when I still got a bunch of draft picks going forward, and we could potentially have another bad season right now. The Clippers could potentially have another bad season. I think they still have Clipper draft picks themselves from the James Harden trade. They may still actually have one. But like, let's say the Clippers have a terrible year. Now they could find themselves drafting potentially one of the best players in a very good draft. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't end. So for them, I don't know, man. I think those are two pieces I would rather keep than lose. But as far as the commitment and what they gave those pieces, those players, it's a little too rich for my blood, y'all. A little too rich. So I don't know, man. It just is what it is. You gotta just accept that this is what the NBA looks like. Role players are getting over $100 million, and starters that could be all-stars and make multiple all-star appearances are basically getting max contracts. And superstars are getting unprecedented max contracts that we've never seen before. And so when it's time for Luka Doncic to make his money, I expect it to be close to $400 million for the contract. 5 year, $400 million, something like that. What Mayamba? Same thing. 5 years, $450 million. And we're just going to be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And Jason Tatum got 315. Jaylen Brown got 300. What you think Luka gonna get? What you think Wemby gonna get? What you think Jokic gonna get? When Giannis comes up for his contract, what you think it's gonna look like? Like, this is the reality of it. This is the reality of it. And if you don't pay those guys that money, you lose them. Now, I personally think losing people sometimes is the better bet than overpaying for a guy. Especially if you can get some type of kickback for losing him. If it's a trade situation, sign a trade, maybe you get a trade exception of an absorbent amount. That type of thing to me looks better than overpaying for some dude that I ain't been able to win with yet. And that kind of thing. A team like the Rockets ain't been to the playoffs yet with these people. For better or for worse of what you think of these guys, they ain't been to the playoffs yet. And so we'll see, man. I do believe in both of those guys in the grand scheme of things. They could be very good players. And if this is the cost of doing business and just got to adjust, well, for me personally, I have yet to adjust. That looks a little crazy to me. But we'll see what the Rockets do, man. I said the Rockets and the Orlando Magic, I keep putting them together because they kind of have the same thing going on with each other. They both keep on drafting early in every draft because they're always bad. And they keep taking the best talent, but they keep on overdrafting in the same positions. You know what I'm saying? And then bringing themselves vets to overplay these guys so that they don't get the development that would justify these contracts. That's what I see in both of these situations. And the Rockets are probably the most egregious ones. That Fred VanVleet contract and that Dillon Brooks contract is in the way. They're in the way of the presence of those players are in the way of the guys that you are trying to develop to become what it is that ultimately justifies these dollars that you're giving them. They're in the way. They're in the way in the sense that that's their money, so that allows you to keep more of these guys if you want to, and they're in the way of the minutes that allow them to be developed. And the ceiling of bringing yourself such vets don't get you even to the playoffs. Dillon Brooks and Fred VanVleet missed the playoffs. So they're taking minutes away from superstar kids and not good enough of a ceiling together to do anything to get those kids where they need to go. That's what I'm saying. Like, these teams can't get out of their own way, man. That's what it really comes down to. Sometimes teams and their GMs and the creativity of their GMs and the ownership demands really do get in the way of fantastic basketball. All they got to do is literally nothing and just let all these first-round draft picks that they keep drafting play. Play 40 minutes a game. Let them make their mistakes. Let them grow together. You don't need no Dillon Brooks. You don't need Fred VanVleet. You don't need Josh Green. You don't need none of these old men. Let them go to teams that fit their timeline and just keep playing your Cam Whitmore, Amon Thompsons, Reed Shepherds, Alpes, and Greens. That's all you need to be doing. That's literally all the Rockets need to do. All the rest of that stuff they're doing makes no sense to me at all. And I'm just being honest with you guys. It makes no sense. It hasn't made sense in years since they've been doing it. So we'll see what happens now. Now some of these guys have been paid. We'll see how the team looks. They got to get to the playoffs this year. I think they have a fantastic coach, so that should help. Getting Reed Shepard should definitely help as well. I think he's a player that's going to be great. So we'll see, man, if they can get to the playoffs. But if they have another bad season, bro, this is going to reinforce what I've been talking about. So that's pretty much my point of view on the Rockets. Congratulations to those young men. They're definitely set for life. They're making NBA money, living the dream. That's what it's about. Hopefully they'll be pleased in their circumstances. That's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDL44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.